Hey everyone, welcome back to Conversations in Pop Culture, and we are back in the saddle once again for another season. And before I introduce my guest, I do want to remind everybody that this episode is brought to you by my friend Preston Poulter's Palace of the Golden Princess, which offers a fun, sexy romp through a fantasy RPG setting run by women. Issue 3 launches soon on Kickstarter, and Preston now is offering a free PDF of Issue 1 if they sign up for his email list at popjackcomics.com. So you can try before you buy. And it's also brought to you by my friend JD Rosario, who has right now Limbo open almost all of Eternity 1 and 2, where you'll find demons, beasts, booze, and hell freezing over. And there's some not safe for work covers. A comic book that is too naughty not to be nice. So you go check that book out. And I thoroughly enjoyed issue 1 of that. And JD is not paying me for that because I bought a copy after he offered to send me one for free, but I bought it first. So it's a good book. It's a fun book. You'll be entertained. But enough about that, because I have with me Jason Conley from Fate68 Comics. That's with an X. I want to make that crystal clear. With an X. So obviously, I mean, you got a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff I want to talk about, but I think the best place to start is, what is Fate68 for those who don't know anything about it or hearing about it? Because in today's age in comics, there's so many people doing so many things that things get missed. So,
right.
Quick version of your company and what it is for those who don't know.
Well, I'll do it as quick as possible. Fate68 just came about when I used to write stories when I was a police officer, and I would write movies that I would want to see, script stuff that I knew was never going to go anywhere, just because I wanted to get it out of my head, or I'd be driving to Kentucky for long times with my wife and just start making up crap. So I had an opportunity, and I thought, what's on my bucket list? I retired from law, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to put out a comic book, just one. Wrote it, got an artist to do it, put it out, and after that first issue, it got funded. It didn't skyrocket, but it got funded for a brand new company, and Fate68 was born because that first issue was dolls, and it ended up getting so many responses of reviews of people saying that they thought it was a novelty book, and they said, but they actually read it. Surprisingly, most people don't read books, and they said they loved it, can't wait for the next one. And now I'm up to 7 different titles. I got 7 different artists, legend artists, Mike DiCarlo, Sean Joyce from the Frank Frazetta Studios, people looking to come work for us. And now a movie set to be made out of one of our issues. So it took off in less than 2 years, really fast. And, and like I said, the name Fate68 just kind of came from, one, my love for Olivia Newton-John. Came from one of her songs, and 2, I needed something to go with the name, and I happened to look down at an old newspaper and some old stuff, and it was from the year 1968, so I stole the 68 off of that.
So let's talk about this, because I don't know how you feel, but I feel COVID has changed a lot of things, where it's broken down a lot of gates for things to happen, and a lot of people, I feel, launched miniature publishers, their own lines, and a variety of other stuff. And also people were home, and people also, I think, their whole genre and what they wanted changed, where I think there's been a massive backlash against corporations and the mainstream of comics. And I'm curious what you think, because I don't think 3-4 years ago that what you did and a bunch of other people that I know are doing right now could be done. I really don't. Mm-hmm. And I think there's been a massive culture shift, because it's just one of those things. And even for my taste, I haven't really gone to a comic shop in a while, and I don't really buy many books from previews from Diamond or Lunar or any of those distributors. The only book that I've religiously bought is Justice League vs. Ruby, and it's because I'm a huge anime fan. I'm a huge Ruby fan, but I'm not buying it for Justice League. I'm buying it for the other component of it, and that's the only book that I buy now when it comes out. So I'm curious how you feel about that, because we're in a very weird, different time where it's almost like a fuck you to mainstream.
Well, all right. Well, I warned you beforehand. I'm pretty blunt and honest. I do respect how you say that about the COVID thing. It didn't really play a part. I'm a guy that if you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to say, fuck you. I'm going to do it 10 times over. I've been told no my whole life, whether it was wanting to be a cop. I owned a comic book shop in the 90s, and I bought it because somebody told me in my family it's a waste of time. And I said, okay, well, fuck you. I'm going to do it anyway. And I do. Everything I've done, I've done. The only reason that I kept pushing this comic book company is because I had these stories in my head and I knew they were good stories. Now, I'm going to be upfront. I'm not calling any specific things out, but I'm going to tell you right now, yeah, um, I think a lot of it had to do with COVID, but a lot of it had to do with the immediate turnaround of income through campaigns like Kickstarter and stuff. When people say, oh, I can get somebody to draw a bunch of naked boobs and literally throw the name word boobs on the cover and I can make 20 grand. That's bullshit. That's a waste of time. That's a waste of money. And it's just stupid because there's no story.
You could say their name. You could say their name. I mean, she's coming on.
I don't know who it is, but that's the name of the story. That's the name of the damn book. Boobs. That was it. Just boobs. And it's like, there's no story. So the people that really do write good books, write good stories that are out there in the independent market, good artists, they get hammered and put to the side because of certain companies and people that have no business putting shit out there because they just doing it for nothing else but monetary value.
I'm going to push back a little bit because this is what I think, and I'm curious what you think about this, is that I think it's a game sometimes where Bear Girl sells. And I think creators have a really hard time saying, look, I need 4,500 to get back what I put into the book, to get the book printed. And if I throw a sexy Bear Girl art cover up there, that's going to get me, it's going to cost me 600 to do it. And then it's going to produce me 1,500. And now I'm a little bit closer to my goal.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. I do it.
It creates a whole problem of how do you get your story read, but how do you get funded? And it creates like this really weird inflection point, because then what happens when somebody says, I want to write a shitty story, but I'm going to have 20, sexy Bear Girl books and covers that now it's just being bought for the cover. And
well, let's talk about the 90s. The 90s soar. 90s was nothing but bad girls. I can find barbed wire in a daggum dollar bin all day long now. But here's the thing. That's because it was sold for the cover. Now, I do. Greg Bell is one of the greatest pinup artists there was, and he helped boost me up. And there are people out there that have some of the worst stories, and some people don't even open the book, but he'll help them out. They put a cover on there, and boom, they hit go. I agree with that. That's what they do. But the problem is that you're right. Now people are collecting it for covers, just like when they wouldn't open poly bags in the 90s. But what gets them to come back when those covers stop? Because if you start looking at mine, I'm going to start diming it back, but I still put out the good covers and stuff because I enjoy it. Mine's I give away free books. When you end up purchasing or backing me or going to our website, I got the direct editions called a reader copy. You're going to get it. Whatever you purchase, I'm sending you a reader's copy. So you can get your collectible side, but you're going to read the book. And I want you to read the book. And that's why, you remember you had, when we had the thing, when you bought the cards and, of course, stuff comes up and, it's frustrating. And you get that frustration because people get burned by creators. I've been burned by creators. I've ordered something.
I was having a bad week. I'll be the first.
Everybody has bad weeks when it comes to that, but I understand because I'm like you. It's like, hey, I put my money into something, and I've got something right now from Rich, who has not yet sent something over a year ago that I gave him $150 for, and he still won't do it. So I get burned, and so I see when people get like hurt or something, I want to make it right. That's my thing. I want to make it right. And some of the people that, if they're watching this, that support me, that has had issues with not getting books, something like that, they'll vouch. I get my manager or marketer, she'll say, hey, so-and-so didn't get this, that. I say, send them another one and send them something extra. Because the most important thing is making sure the people that have got you where you are taken care of first, i.e., you're going to get a reader's copy because I want you to read the book. And then when they read it, now they're coming back for the story. Now they'll just buy a digital copy because they want the story.
I'll talk about a company that I'm a big fan of. Zenoscope does a really good job where Zenoscope has those really good covers. And I'll be honest, lately, I think they've been missing the mark a little bit lately. And I think they've gotten a little bit off the train track, and I think they'll get back onto the train track and hit it out of the park. But the last few, I would say 3 months, the covers haven't been great. And my buyership of them hasn't, been high, because I'm just like, you're missing the mark here. But anyway, they have good story. Where is it the best story in the world? Not. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But it's good writing. I mean, Pat Chan's a good writer. Dave Franchini is a good writer. Dave Wall, when he does stuff, from back from the 90s, he did like Witchblade and stuff. It's some good writing. But people stay with Zenescope because they like the Bag or Lark covers and the exclusivity. But then they open up the book and the story is good. It's a decent story, which allows you to come back and say, cool, I'm now not just here for the breasts.
Right.
I'm here for
but
something.
I'm sorry, I like breasts, so I'm always going to have that, but I keep it from being gratuitous. I've said this on many interviews. People say, because it's a mature series. Every series that I've got in the Fate68 universe, they all tie together in one thing. So one series will turn into this series, or they all cross over, and they play a part. So there's like, when you read the book, you're like, she's got to be naked for this scene, or something like this, or on the covers, exclusiveness. That's when I say I'm going to print only so many of a certain book. No matter what happens, that's all I'm going to print. I could sell them out in a day and people want more. I'm like, I'm sorry, I promised 30. 30 is all it is. And that's where the problem also lies in, is people want these covers because they look good, the exclusive and variants and stuff. But when you've got hundreds of them out there, even though they're a variant, they're just not as exclusive. I mean, shit, I think not a few months ago, Spider-Man came out, 30 goddamn variant covers. I went, what is that? That's overkill, At some point, you got to dime it back. And of course, none of them are going to have boobs on them, so I don't know the enjoyment of it. But so you got to play to the whole people.
But let's actually talk about that a little bit too. No, about overkill with variants. Yeah, I think, and this is just my take on Kickstarters, is that I think 4 covers is where I'm out on a Kickstarter. And I know people who have Kickstarters that have 26 covers, and I'm like, that is overkill. I think having 10 is overkill. And I understand if you have like a trade dress, a virgin, and then a medal of that to me is one cover. That's not 3 separate covers. It's 3 separate printings of that book, but it's the same cover. Or if you have a nude version and a regular version, I consider that to be the same cover. I think it's crazy when you have 26 covers and you have a medal and then you have this and then you have that, because I think that there is a point where you could kill your backer, and it's kind of like going to the cereal aisle, where if you take your 5-year-old, say, Johnny, you get to pick cereal today, and you take him to the cereal aisle, he's going to be like, what the fuck? There's 15 choices here, and I don't know what's good. And
Jesus, I agree with you so much. Now, I agree. I've had people that I've seen on certain Kickstarters where somebody's offering, like I said, up 20 or more covers, and they're exactly like, I got 130 books. What do you suggest I get? That's ridiculous. I've looked at certain Kickstarter campaigns and went, I wouldn't even know where to start to buy anything. It's so confusing. And I'm guilty of having a few, but I do what you do. There's like Naughty Nice, and then there'll be a metal version or a foil version of it. It's I try to not, like you say, overkill. And sometimes, though, the artists that work for me, they do such amazing art. It's just like, I can't even wait till the next issue to get people this art. It's like, this is beautiful. So, I mean, I'm sitting on variant covers for future issues that I have to be, just to avoid what you just said, that overkill. It's got to be something simplified.
I'll tell a story that I haven't told anybody because it just happened to me today. So there was a stretch goal of getting a free metal card off of somebody's Kickstarter. So the thing is free, and every single choice that you could possibly make is a good metal card for free. And there's like 26 choices, and it took me like 20 minutes to figure out which one I wanted, and it was free. And like it wasn't going to cost me any money. And I'm like, this is good. This one's good. And you couldn't go wrong. And then I finally settled on one, and I felt good. And I'm like, this is like, but I wish that it was just a random metal card in there and I didn't have to choose, because it would be so much easier for me. And that's something when it's free. Imagine when you're paying money for it how much that's stressful. So it's just in which that, and there are campaigns that I have not backed because I'm like, there's just too much shit here for me to decipher, and you've made it really hard for me to back something.
Yeah, I'm just trying to bring back the good era of comics where it's like, yeah, you had some good covers, and the covers are more than just, pinups now. I'm trying to go back to the old school style of action covers a little bit. Some people that see that, but I also know that what the fans like and what they want. And like I said, it's not about me. This ain't about me. It'll never be about me. It may be my stories, but just because I like a certain movie doesn't mean everybody's going to like it. So I've got to make sure that I stick with what I originally said I was going to do is, make sure the stories are good, get the people the books that they want. And if they want something specific, I'll have something in there for everybody. And I try to avoid falling into that. It's real easy to, as a publisher, to fall into that whole gimmick of trying to get that money produced and stuff like that. I mean, let's face it, everybody wants to make that money, but are you going to, what are you going to do to get? I mean, are you just going to put together a crazy book with a bunch of girls grabbing boobs and do that every month and actually saturate the market where you're taking what you're into independent company to help boost real comic writers and artists, and you're putting something out there just to make a dime off of something you really have no business doing. And it's kind of like, take me being a cop, for instance. I became a cop literally because I wanted to do something good. I wanted to make it. But then there's some people that were on the force that want to be a cop because they got beat up in school. Now, they're in there and they're going out there and they've got this little attitude that they're on the streets giving people a hard time, giving cops a bad name because they got this chip on their shoulder, which makes it hard for people that really want to do the right thing to have a good light to other people. So people that really want to be in this business and write books, and then you got somebody that comes in that's just got, I just want to make a buck. I don't give a crap what the story is. They fuck it up for everybody.
So obviously I'm a little bit conflicted here because I run an eBay business where I just want to sell books. And so my whole theory here is that I tend to get rare books that have limited print runs that sell out fast. And then I sell them to my clients who want them. I sell them mint to my clients, and my clients want to pay more for it because they can't get it anywhere else. And I'm reasonable in my prices. But
that has nothing to do with what you do. What you do is totally opposite of what a publisher would do. A publisher has a responsibility to the fans and the people. And if their people are going to buy it, that's fine. But when you're putting something out there with a beautiful cover that everybody would want, and you open it up and there's animorphs in there just running around, slapping each other's asses and pulling each other's tails, you're killing it for the people that are writing real stories and putting good books on there.
See, this is where this gets interesting right now, is that I think a lot of people on Kickstarter have seen that there's real money now, and that there's real positioning on this, and that Bear Girl art is selling, and they're just trying to figure out how to make a living doing this. And I think that the whole point of Kickstarter has been defeated, because the whole point of what I thought Kickstarter and crowdfunding is that I can't do this right now with my income or without support from everybody else. And we're all in this, and we're not going to be making money off of this, where it's going to fund the project and it might help fund the next one. And now it's become a business model. And I think that's what's defeated. The whole mission of Kickstarter has legitimately been defeated by all these people in comics, because now it's a business.
Yeah, I mean, when you start seeing like some of the big names on there that they don't have to be, then they're taking, like, you said, the advantage of the situation. But hey, like I said, I talked to you earlier, you can't change anybody's thoughts. They're going to do what they want to do. People that collect the stuff like you do, that's how I was. And I've collected books growing up that I never even cracked it to look at, just because I knew it was a collectible. Then when I flip to the side of writing, I want people to read my books. And when I see people making, money off of, I've actually ordered some of these books that, like I told you, one was called Boobs. I would order some of them to see what was inside it. it's, as Greg would say, it's the drizzling shits. It sucks. It's like, why? And there's some of them that just because the cover's great, but I know it's not going to be a collectible one day. It is right now, but you tell me in 20 years, you're going to see a graded book called Boobs sell for hundreds of dollars. You won't. It's just it's here today, gone tomorrow. The ones like Brian Polito, Lady Death, he's got covers and all that, but he grounded himself in a story that's entertaining and grew a fan base that goes, even though these covers are titillating, you can, so to speak, and love them, I know when I open it, I'm going to get a good story out of it. That's my goal. It's like, I want that cover, but I know it's going to have a good story.
Let's actually talk about this. This is interesting because figuring out what is going to be here in 20 years is so complicated. So I was at a lecture. I used to live in DC, and I was at a lecture for 80 years of Superman with Paul Levitz and Dan Jurgens. I think it's Jurgens. It's not the point.
Yeah.
I think it's wrong. So they were talking about 80 years of Superman, and Paul Levitz said, how many things in American culture have lasted 80 plus years? And it's really an amazing thing. You look at Batman 2 for 80 years. How many things have lasted 80 years and are still culturally relevant? And then we could rewind that even further. And how many things have lasted 10 years and are still culturally relevant? And it's such an interesting thing. And, you know, when I look at comps and I look at a bunch of other stuff, I mean, it's so interesting at this point is because I think that there's a lot of garbage on Kickstarter. I think there's also some really good stuff out there. And it's really tricky for me as a consumer and even as a business to figure out, hey, what is going to be here for life and what isn't?
Oh, that's based completely on the publisher and how they put themselves out there. If you got a publisher out there that really like, man, I sound conceited saying this, but if somebody's willing to give you a free book to read, they have a pretty good, they're floating the dime to let you know, hey, I think you really want to read this, or, you know, really taking the time to make sure that whatever you ordered, no matter if it's one book or two books, and no matter if they've got 1,000 backers, that one backer who complains, that they take care of them, that lets you know that company's here to stay. They're here to do it. If they just kind of say, go complain to somebody else, or you're not worth it, I got 1,000 more backers, they're here today, gone tomorrow. It's who really believes in what they're doing. That's how I am. And some of the people like I backed, that I'm sure you've backed, they to this day don't give two bit shits that they stiffed me for over $100 and will not send the money back, will not supply whatever they did it for the money, and they haven't given anything to the backers, including myself. And it's bullshit. And that's all I'm going to say, because it drives me nuts how people just take people's money and they won't give them nothing for it. I sent you cars because you deserved them. And that's what I felt like was needed. That's because I know I want to be here in 10 years. Will I? Who knows? I mean, after this interview, they might go piss on him, but it is what it is. I just don't want to bite my tongue.
Let's talk about this too, because I am waiting right now on Kickstarters. Some of them, you know, I know the people I know I'm going to get, they're just 6 months behind for whatever reason. Sometimes shit happens in comics, right? Sometimes your colorist gets sick. Sometimes your colorist is having a problem. Things happen. And so that's something that happens. And then, you know, I'll get the book eventually. But other people have gone dead silent for me. And so what is that like, though? Because this is a customer service issue.
Yeah, that pisses. I don't think anybody, you may not get me per se, and that's not because I don't pay attention to emails or messages. I do have a team that works for me now. Part of my other life career is, you know, I do act in some movies. I'm in like the Marvel movies and Strange Things like that. So I'm usually dealing with that. Not as much now with a strike. And now with us working on getting our J.P. Cummings movie produced, I get a little tied up. So I got people helping answer the questions, but they always come to me and say, hey, so-and-so's got an issue, so let's take care of it. As a matter of fact, most of them, when I immediately get somebody either to respond or I respond, they go, holy crap, I did not expect you to respond so fast. thank you. That's great customer. I mean, you can go anywhere and that's what they'll say. The ones that have an issue with it are people that I've probably used to work for me and I had to fire because they didn't want to do their job. So that's about it. But other than that, if you got an issue, I'll directly deal with it. I don't care who you are. I mean, I had somebody that was hurt because they didn't get the books that they were supposed to do because the mail person didn't deliver them. And hey, I can't control the mail people, but guess what? They ever show me they didn't get it. I said, so our warehouse said, send them out some new ones and added an extra little special thing in there because I wanted to make sure that they got what they did, and a little sorry for having to go through that in the first place. Yeah, it's customer service. I'm big on customer service because I know when I go somewhere, I expect to be treated right. And if I'm not treated right, I'm going to vent about it and bitch about it. And I've got to hold back my venting and bitching so much. But yeah, so I was like, what would I want if somebody was, if it was me buying stuff? And I have bought stuff and I still have not got it. And I'm like, I will never do that. I'm not going to do that to nobody.
I personally, every time I get burnt on Kickstarter, it makes me question, am I going to back the next one from somebody?
Yeah,
it's a very unfortunate thing because it hurts.
You got to get reputable people that have been on there and they're going to do it. And, you know, you just got to be cautious. I mean, in the beginning, I got burnt at least 2 times. I'm still waiting. One's 2 years behind. And I just have to chalk it up like, well, it's not going to happen. You know, what can I do? And I could go on a twit rant. I could go on a rant like I'm doing now, start throwing names at, but all that's going to do is just make me look like the dick, but throwing people's names out there like that. But
I'm gonna challenge on that because I think what we need in the community is we need somebody in a very civilized way to call out every Kickstarter that hasn't fulfilled. And I think it needs to be done by somebody somewhat reputable who is, you know, an industry standard. And once a month, they have a show and they have a list. And if they have
that's an excellent idea. And the only problem is that you said, how'd you say they would have to do it? I mean, in a very easy, nice. I see. I'll do it, but it won't be that way. So, like,
I'm not the guy either. I've
complained to Kickstarter. I've wrote numerous things to Kickstarter, and I'm not trying to say anything negative about Kickstarter because I use them and I like them. They're way better than any other campaign company. Except I now use my website. I offer people stuff on my website, which guarantees them cheaper prices and cheaper rates. Like right now, cheap plug, Pumpkin Tunes on www.fate68comicswithanx.com with a bunch of the special selected variants that we got on there for just $15. So I do them a lot cheaper.
I do want to acknowledge Alton Simpson does say December Lace does that. And I agree, She does that, but she doesn't do it to the volume that it needs to be done at. Nothing against her. It just needs to be done at a much greater volume. And it needs to be done with like 20,000 people watching every single month. Because embarrassment and humiliation sometimes works. I'm not saying that should be the answer all the time. I agree. She does try. It's not a knock at her because I like her. But it needs to be done at such a bigger volume because I think
it's just Kickstarter needs to have somebody that focuses on that, finds the people that are doing it, and not sit there and say, well, this or well, no, well, my asshole. Get on there and spend 2 years, it's been 6 months. They're not responding. You get on there. You don't allow them to create nothing else, and you put them on a do not buy list or whatever for everybody to see. I mean, they got a goddamn jail report magazine. You go to jail, you're going to end up in a magazine, whether you like it or not.
This is so. My friend Luke Stone does Fund My Indie or Fund My Comic. I get the names mixed up. So whichever one it is, and what he has that I think is a really good solution is that you can't have more than 2 outstanding projects on his platform and his crowdfunding platform at one time. So while it doesn't necessarily prohibit somebody from not delivering, there's only so much limiting they can do on not delivering. So let's say they have a book that's a year out and they have a book that's 3 months out. They cannot run another one until they fulfill that 3 month and it's
Kickstarter does that too. That's the good thing. If you don't have it, They'll tell you that, look, you got to fulfill your last one before you, and they don't give you two. You get one, and if you got one that's not done yet, you're not getting another one up there. I can promise you
Oddly
that.
enough, what's actually happening on Kickstarter is that there are people who are running campaigns every single month that haven't even sent out the books from it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I get that they're trying to run like previews, and I understand that it's a tricky circumstance. But at the same time, I'm looking at this and saying, like, guys, if the person says they have a year out book and they're running one every single month till that, they launched it last November, coming in December, or it's coming in September of 2024, like, we got to get to a point here and saying, look, they just ran 6 campaigns and they haven't delivered this one. And
I want to do a monthly thing. I really want to get to a point where I can get them out monthly, because I got so many stories and issues to get out that I'm working on trying to get them through some of these other. That's why I just created that. I don't know if you saw Fate magazine. It's kind of like bringing back the old Wizard, and I send those out to all the retailers, and it's got not just Fate magazine stuff in there. It's got independent stuff in there. It's got the old cool things that Wizard used to have, like the casting calls, the little articles and write-ups, the top 10s, and it's nothing biased towards my stuff. It's my stuff's in there, and you got an order form, but it's telling you about all the independents that are good, what to look for, what to not get. So it's kind of calling out, like, this is crap, but these are still good. These are ones that are reputable. So I'm doing that with these magazines, and I've given those out free to anybody that sends me an email, just for them to get the first issue. And I have one campaign that, as a matter of fact, that you probably can see right here. These are the ones they sent to my house instead of the warehouse, that I'm bagging personally and not waiting for the warehouse, because I want these people to get these books now for Dolls 4. And then I've got the JP books being finished right now, so I can get those out. But I asked all my backers who've been waiting for the next pumpkin issue, listen, this is what we got. So Jamie came to me and said they know that you're going to get their books, and even though they haven't got the other ones yet, they want now to see some of this stuff and be able to get it. And I said, well, let's do a 2-week pre-campaign sale, and let's mark them down to $15 and have some that are just available for 2 weeks on the website campaign. And we'll do that, but we still got the Kickstarter one that'll have everything on it. But for those that are really big fans, let's do it on the website and give them a deal, and let's do it for 2 weeks. And that started today.
Let's actually talk about that a little bit. So I don't know much about Pumpkin issue 1 and issue 2 all that much, but what I do know is I understand selling, and obviously Preston does something called Make 100. And so Kickstarter obviously does the Make 100 thing. I think they usually do it in January. I think they've done it in April, and they might even do it multiple times a year. I don't know. But what he'll do is that he'll wait till Make 100 happens, and he'll do a 100 variant on the campaign along with the regular. And then whatever doesn't, so he'll do the 100 variant, the nice and the naughty of it. And then whatever doesn't sell on the 100, he'll carry over to the next campaign. And he's basically breaking up a campaign into 2. And that's what it seems what you're doing. And I actually think it's really smart sometimes, because why do you want to bite the apple once when you could bite it twice? And so if all of a sudden you sell a lot of books on this in a pre-sale, you're going to have an idea of how your campaign's going to do, where, man, a lot of people are interested in this. Why are they interested in this? And then you can adjust your Kickstarter accordingly, because you get data from sales. In my eBay store, if I bring in a piece of merchandise and it moves out so quickly, I'm like, cool, why did this merch move? And what other merch is like this that will also move? Or is this an anomaly, which has happened too? And so what is that? Smart.
I understand that point of view on it. As a matter of fact, I never thought of that. That's not my reasoning. I know this is going to come across as like, come on, man, nobody is really that into taking care of somebody, and and some might say it's bullshit, but it's literally that whole idea is agreeable, but that's not why I did it. I did it because people were asking me for it. They said, and I wasn't planning on doing it, because to me it's kind of like opening a gift before it's your birthday, but they wanted it, And the real diehard fans would send emails that says, yes, please do it now. So I literally would just go get some of the select ones that I knew that were a little bit more on the higher tier side. And I said, you know what? $15 for the real diehard fans for these 5 special ones. And as a matter of fact, I had an artist do a special variant that's only for that website for 2 weeks, which means that after these 2 weeks is up, you're not going to see that cover on Kickstarter anywhere else. So if you got it there, you did. And another one that's a foil, only there. And that was done not for anything to gauge anything, to figure out, to double dip. It's because people wanted it now. I couldn't give it to them now in good faith, knowing that I still had some books out there, and I didn't want to hit Kickstarter right away. So I said, you know what? Y'all want it? This is what I'll do for you. Not only will I give you almost 40% off, I'll even give you a free issue to read, and I'll still throw in a couple of special ones that you can only get on this. So if you happen to go over there and do it now, that's because they wanted it, not for anything more than that, because I'm selling them. I'm not really, let's be for real, when all is said and done through paying the artist, the printing, the inkers and the colorists and getting them all done, $15 a pop for so many different books is pretty cheap, and you're not going to make a lot. But if I can just
margins, I know your margins. I'm
that's a cheap margin. So I don't make a lot, and $15 to a kid when he was young is like, what, fucking $15 for comic. I remember seeing $6.99 when I started again. I went, oh, sticker shock. So now I started making them. I'm like, God, I'll never stay in business if I sell them for that. I was like, damn. So I understood why the markup was up to 15, but basically the cost of getting all that done after paying everything, yeah, you're barely making a few bucks, as a publisher at $15 a cover.
My margins, if I buy a book for 20 and I sell for 50, my margins are 26% of pure profit.
And I agree.
But that's $16.45. I mean, but that's after, because I have eBay takes 13%. I have to pay taxes, which I said 25% away for taxes. I have to pay for the merch, and I'm not making a killing on it. People think just because, oh man, you sold a book for $50, $60, you made a lot of money on it. A lot of it gets carved out. It gets carved out really quickly. And that's not me producing an item. That's me just buying an item. When I'm selling,
and see, that's the good thing, though. I like it when y'all do that. You know why? Because I've seen Dolls issue 1, which is probably one of our low real print runs because it didn't go, sell for $150 on eBay. Now, to me, that makes me feel like I made it. Okay, so bravo to y'all. I think that's great. I can't sell them for $150. Damn, they sure do sell a lot of. But it's a really rare book now.
It's interesting. Me and a friend of mine, Dustin Burnell, were talking about this, and he loves flippers because it adds value to what he's doing. Because now, if I buy and I flip a book from him, it means the book is rare, and there's only 5 of them. It means that, in my opinion, this is just how I think, right? Is that now all of a sudden, if there's only 5 or 10 of those books and I flip it, that means the next time something like that comes up or something comparable comes up, so like, I got to get that thing and I got to get it fast. On Kickstarter, only 10 medals, all of a sudden, somebody's like, I got to get that book. And that's the whole thing. And that's what I think, at the very least. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe because I'm a rare baseball collector.
I'm a collector like you when I first started, before I was a publisher. That's exactly my mindset. When I used to get the Wizard and I saw the top 10, I had to get whatever was on. I didn't give a crap. I was like, if they said this is rare, I want it. That's how it was. And and I'd love to see how. Remember, we used to go and see what the price was up every month. Let's be real. The Overstreet and stuff don't put the prices no more on values. It's eBay. It's your aftermarkets. That's where people gauge value these days. No matter how much you want to hate it, that's the reality of today's time. You can say Overstreet said it's only worth this. Well, that's fine. That's Overstreet, but you can't buy it unless you're going to pay $50 on eBay. That's the way it's going to be.
I make an argument that eBay sets price. Value is a different discussion completely, where I've bought things way underpriced on eBay that should have been 4 times as much valued. But eBay sets price, But eBay also, the price can exceed value by far.
Mm.
It happens all.
I've seen that. Oh yes, I've looked at that, and sometimes those people are just. It's either A, they don't really want to sell it, or B, they say, well, if somebody's dumb enough to give me this much, I'll sell it. That's about it. I mean,
I buy books that I watch books. So I'm a big wrestling fan, and I have soccer games.
You a wrestling fan?
I'm a huge wrestling fan.
You didn't check in on me before you did that, did you?
I have one of the rarest WWE books in comics by Boom Studios ever created.
Really?
It is a CGC 9.9 Women's Revolution, 4 Horsewomen and Nikki Bella on the cover. The book itself is $25. What makes the book rare is it's graded and signed by the 4 Horsewomen on the same day and in the same spot, all right next to each other, and the Bella twins. All 6 signatures on the book.
My wife loves the Bellas.
CGC.
I'm surprised you should have done a thing up. All those people. I got pictures with them where I used to play basketball with Adam, Edge. He would come. We'd play basketball. Orton would come work out with me, and I mean, I know I just got through hanging out with Matt Hardy at one of these little shows. I went up and saw him, and they're really nice guys, and I just grew up in wrestling so much that I got to meet them and hang out to them. Yeah, and they always like, oh yeah, come have a beer with me and stuff. And I'm sitting there like starstruck at them, and they're like more asking me about like, what's it like working? I'm like, you don't get it. You guys, to me, are the stars. I'm more in awe of wanting to be with you than you wanting to hang out with me.
I was very fortunate that I got to interview Chris Daniels.
Yeah.
And I got to interview Kazarian. And,
wow.
And this is the craziest story is that my local comic shop a little while ago was Oh Yeah Comics. So Oh Yeah Comics did a comic with Chris Daniels and Kazarian. Uh-huh. And so what's inside that book is Chris Daniels' email and Kazarian's email. So I was just like, you know what? What the fuck? Why don't I just shoot them an email and see what happens? Yeah. Now, the crazier story, and I wasn't there for that, but I sent my parents for this, is that Chris Daniels, Kazarian, and the Young Bucks are doing a signing because there's this print where they were signing a print of them fighting like outside the Oh Yeah Comics shop in Harrison. And so by Art Belzeter, who's like one of the co-owners of Oh Yeah Comics. And so they're signing, and I had to take a finals in Washington, D.C. So my parents went to go get it. And the funny story of it is that I didn't want to bother my parents and torture them. But like, I was like, oh yeah, my son interviewed you and all that stuff. And they remember, like, Kazarian remembers me interviewing him. And then the Young Bucks were like, hey, do you want to take a picture with us? They're like the nicest people ever. So
they are. That's the craziest thing that people don't realize, that those guys, I get starstruck. I'll sit there and I took them out, and we all went and got a beer one day. Steamboat and the Steiners were sitting there, and we were all sitting there talking, and they were asking me questions, and I was like, guys, can I ask y'all stuff instead? they're like, well, what? We don't. I was like, man, just to hear the stories that you could tell. I mean, I told them, I said, you guys are the stars to me. I was like, I could care less about the other people, but wrestlers, man. That's awesome.
The Bushwhackers. That was cool.
Yeah, that's kind of great. They just got some good stories, and they got good things to talk about. And I tell you what, and Matt Hardy's he's a genuine guy, and I tell you right now, I'll just say Edge. Some people know him as Adam, but Edge. Have you ever met him personally?
I have not.
When we would meet and like, just to shoot basketball or BS, he is so much bigger in real life. I mean, he towers over you. It could be because at the time Hornswoggle was next to him. I don't know, the little guy that played the leprechaun. But I told him, I said, man, I had no idea you were this big, so, which he kills me in basketball all the time. But other than that, it's just like, you just don't realize how much larger. But now on the flip side, now you got me geeking out. Mark Henry, he's about 5'10", and he looks so much bigger, but He's literally about my height.
I'm new school. I'm new school in a lot of ways. And so
Yeah.
like I got to interview Anthony Green, who was August Gray in WWE
Yeah.
twice. Josh Briggs, I got to interview, who's in WWE now. I've obviously interviewed Leva Bates early on in my career.
Let me know when you get my new favorite now. He's which everybody's like, I liked him before people liked him, and that's LA Knight.
Oh, LA Knight is great. LA Knight is
I
great.
I liked him before he started taking off. I loved his attitude and the way he just talked to people.
I loved him in Impact.
Yeah.
I loved him in Impact as Eli Drake, and I thought he was great. I love Impact. I think Impact is fantastic. I think the stupidest thing that WWE ever did. There's been a few bad moves that WWE has made. Getting rid of John Morrison was not a good decision.
Yeah.
That guy is so talented. Johnny Impact, him on Survivor was great. And Taya Valkyrie too was a mistake because both of those, I mean, they're married and they're both great.
I mean, let's be for real. The chemistry between Johnny and Mike was very hard to come by these days. I mean, you get a chemistry between guys like that can really pull something off and have longevity. You don't want to lose it. I mean, they were hilarious together. They did. It was great.
I think if you threw Logan Paul into that, I think Logan Paul would be the missing gear in that to have a superstar faction.
Let's talk about that guy. Logan Paul, when first came out, I hated him. I could not stand him. I was like, here's another one of these daggum, and it just made me mad. It reminded me of the time that they started pulling just random people in to wrestle or change Hulk Hogan into that Mr. America looking creep. But I watched the documentary on Netflix about his brother. Changed my entire perspective. I went, wow, those guys really came from doing what they did and went through a lot of crap. And he reminds me of myself. Somebody said, you can't do that. And he says, fuck you, I'm going to do it. And that's what I respect about it.
I think this is my take on Logan Paul. I think it was fair to ask questions. I think it's 100% fair to ask questions about why did WWE put Logan Paul on like a $5 million contract? What was the point of this? Is this a joke? Is it because of his social media following? But I think he's proven that he deserves to be there. I think he has. I think he is the exception because we've seen this, I guess, story before, this plot before, where they go and hire a celebrity to get the big pop, and Logan Paul goes up. And I think Bad Bunny did a good job too, but I don't think Bad Bunny is Logan Paul, if that makes any sense.
No.
Where I think
he's literally earned my respect. Just, I mean, documentary, seeing what his brother and how his brother took the boxing world seriously and not just use a joke, and people still bashed him, and he just kind of said, you know what, keep telling me I'm no good because I'm just going to keep coming back even better. And that's what happened with Logan. He just said, you know what, keep telling me I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to keep working hard and coming back. That's the way I live, is like, keep telling me that I can't make a living doing this. I'm going to keep working even harder. Keep telling me that I can't make a difference. I'm just going to keep telling me I can't buy a store. I'm going to do it. I don't care how I'll do it. It may be a while, but you told me I can't do it. Now I got to do it. I'm not one of those guys. I love being told no. I love being told no. I mean, now.
Oh, I get questions on everything. I mean, I'm a big stock investor and I love it. And people question my decisions on it, and they're not laughing at me anymore. We're going to leave it at that.
You can talk a big game, or you can show you got a big game. And I love people tell me I can't. I don't sit there and say, I bet you I could. I just like, okay. And then next thing you know, boom. And then those people, they don't want nothing to do with you no more. I've lost so many friends. I've lost a lot of people, family, just because they didn't think I was really going to make it. That's why they just laughed at it, and they were fine hanging out and being friends. But as soon as something happens and I make it, they ain't none of them come to the red carpet event. I mean, shoot, I was by myself with my wife.
So this, you brought up a really interesting point. So in the last 2 years, I've actually cut out the fat in my life. So I have loyal friends who I've known since the 3rd grade, and they will follow me to the edge of the earth because every time there's ever been an issue, they're like, you're right on it. And it's a very weird thing where they trust me that I'm not going to steer them wrong. But then there's people who, they flipped out on something when I'm cracking a joke, and then they went ape shit. And then I said, fine, I'm cutting the fat. And they've been pissed off and they're done. And, my life has gotten better when I trim the fat. And so it's very weird because I've evolved as a person. And I think it's fascinating because in comics and in media right now, I don't see people. I see that there's 2 paths. You either evolve and you move forward, or you're on the struggle bus. And there's a reason why campaigns are struggling. There's a reason why people are having problems is they haven't evolved and they haven't gotten rid of the dead weight that's holding them back. And it's a very tough thing to say.
I tried not to. Hey, give me 1 second. It's dark. I'm going to flip a light on so I don't ghost out on you. Let's see where we at. There we go. I don't know how well that'll work, but it's got to be better than nothing. So speaking of like the dead weight somehow wanted to trim itself. I tried my best to hold on to some of them. Even one of the guys that I had hired to be my editor that helped me start this company, I told him, I said, stay with me. He's why I said, you'll never make in this company doing that. You know, thank you. I'm going to keep doing it. And I was going to stick with him, and I wanted him. I've known him for 20 years. He had a personal agenda of coming in, taking money, and using it to buy his own little, his character that he had created years ago to relaunch and try to use his credit off of being associated with the company, although he decided he didn't want to no longer be with the company. Of course, he lied about it, but when he did, I still support him, all that stuff, even though he didn't want nothing to do with me. But then out of nowhere, he sits in home and trolls all day and just starts writing negative tweets. And I said, okay, that better not be about me. And called him out on it. And he's like, I work for other people. And I'm like, no, you don't. I said, don't piss in my face and call it rain. Well, it got back to some of the high ups that, had that try to watch out and do stuff. And he almost got in a lot of legal trouble for slander and stuff. And even to this day, he still doesn't keep his mouth shut, and he's almost getting in trouble again. I mean, I've had people that I've tried to help that are starting new cons, and I told them, they're like, you would really come here? And I was like, how much? I said, you don't pay me nothing. I said, I know what it's like to start off. I said, let me come make an appearance. I'll bring some people in there. You ain't got to pay me nothing. And that's it. And that's it. Well, it happens to be one that this kid was also going to be there with his one book that he barely could get off the ground, and bad-mouthed me so bad that the guy says, man, I really want you there. But I said, the problem is that if you do come, he says he's not going to show up, and he's taking all the people he's bringing with him and all that. And I'm like, look, you know what? I was only doing this to help you. I said, if that's the attitude that he's got to take, then fine, whatever. And I was backed out, but I still supported the guy and said, hey, still go to the con. This guy's trying to make it. Don't let this one asshole who can't write, who can't publish, who can't come up with anything good, try to ride my tailcoats, and he can't ride them no more. And he keeps getting in trouble for it. Let him do it. I mean, that's fine. I never had any ill will toward him, so I'm kind of shocked that people do that. But that's the kind of people that they trim themselves. They just don't want to be around people that can do what they can't. And I'm sorry if that sounds rough, and I'm not trying to be, but I'm pissed. I'm aggravated. I'm just not showing it. And to be honest, his book is a pile of shit.
It's one of the things that happened to me is that somebody dunked on me for 43 minutes, made a bunch of falsehoods about me, and the video was finally taken down. And I haven't really spoken about it because I just said, you know what, this is going to end badly for him. It's going to end badly, and it did end badly. And
I wasn't even going to say nothing to him. I literally has let it go because the attorneys got involved and stuff, and I didn't even want to have anything to do with it. But when all of a sudden I'm trying to literally just help somebody get them off the ground, starting a con for nothing, not getting paid to do nothing, but to be there to help them. And you want to get pissy and start running your mouth, which doesn't mean you're trying to help this guy. You're just selfish. And I was like, that's on you, brother.
This is what's interesting, is that this is why I actually stopped offering help. So so I was speaking, there's a wrestler named Effie, and he went on his own podcast and he said basically he used to do seminars for wrestlers and none of them would fucking listen to me. And he said, I stopped doing it because they're not listening to me. And it was just, I guess frustrating and disenfranchising is a good way to put it. Where I'm doing seminars and it's like $25 to come to the seminar and none of these kids would listen to me. When you're 21 years old, I've been doing this, and he's got a huge merch line every single show he's at, and he's going all over the world. I mean, he was just in Australia earlier today / tomorrow. I don't know Australia's time exactly, but the point is that, nobody's listening to me. He said, I'm not doing them anymore. And so I don't really offer advice to people on certain things, and I think I'm pretty good at business. I'm not saying I'm the best in the world, but it's like I sell a lot of comics. I think I have a pretty good idea what's going to sell and how to sell a book and how to do certain things in business. And I just said, nobody's listening. If people are going to criticize me, fuck them. If you want my help, you can buy it now. And guess what? Nobody wants my help now. And I'm like, great, but I don't feel disenfranchised.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know I get my hand slapped a lot and stuff. So, and it's fine. It's part of the game, man. It's part of the game. You got to have thick skin. Luckily, I had 20 years of law enforcement give me thick skin. And it is what it is. I'll always still help. If I see somebody that wants help and and I'll be honest with you, I'll give props to the person that helped me develop that. And that would be, Greg Bo Watson. He literally will help anybody out that's in this business and do what he can for them. And he tells me all the time, he goes, hey, you always got to pay it forward, man. Always got it. And when I first started out and he helped out with me and he would take me around, we ended up being like best friends. And people are always kind of curious. They say, yeah, y'all were working together and he worked for Fate. What happened? There's no, let me just, for the umpteenth million time, we didn't have a falling out. It's like, he's so busy with so many things that I value my friendship more. And as a publisher, you've got deadlines, you've got things that, the card stuff and all that. And sometimes things get moved out of a certain priority, and I can't let my business side of having to be the boss or be the aggressive, like, look, this has to be done, and ruin a friendship over it. So we politely said, I'd rather be your best friend than work together in a business.
A few things. Obviously, I do want to talk about the cards. I have this stuff. I really like this package. I call it the Trish Stratus package because it looks like her.
You know what? Now you say that, I can see it.
I said it to Greg too.
Awesome. I'm going to change the cover now to the Trish Stratus variant. I've got the cover for it. I'm going to do that. That's a good one.
I thought so. The one that's more Harley Quinn oriented is not Trish Stratus. This one definitely looks like her from the early 90s.
Yes, it does.
Early 2000s.
That's awesome. Thank you for putting that in my head.
but I want to tailor that for 1 second because you bring up a really interesting point about Greg Bo, and it's the idea and it's the health of the comic industry. So I don't know if you know who Tom Hutchinson is from Big Dog Inc.
Yeah, I don't know him personally. I know exactly what you're talking about, though.
So he was explaining that Todd. Oh shoot, I can't think of his last name. I always get it. Knock, I think, or you know who I'm talking about.
Don't even ask me.
You know who I'm talking about, though? I think he used to do a bunch of Spider-Man stuff.
Yeah.
He did, I think, worked for Marvel for forever. So what he's explaining to me is that Todd, when Tom was first starting out, really taught Tom a lot about the business and helped Tom out a lot and provided him a lot of insight and brought him onto his side of the booth when Tom was first starting Big Dog Inc. And I think it's very interesting where when I first started podcasting, I didn't have any mentors. And it's a real, I think, help sometimes to have mentors where you're going to have somebody say, hey, here's some guidance. And what is that like? Because I think some people are happy to help out in comics, and I think a lot of people are not willing to help because they feel that if I help you, you're going to put me out the pasture and then end my comic career. And I think that could happen sometimes, but I don't think that's the case for the
I
majority.
think in today's time, like you spoke earlier on, there is way too much room and plenty of room for everybody. It's all about quality and what you put out. I mean, you can go and buy a million different variations of green beans in a grocery store, but you know there's only one brand that's going to taste better than the rest of them. So you can put out anybody can give it a shot, but if it sucks, hey, pack your shit. You suck. Move
I
on to the
also,
next venture.
I also think that sometimes it's how you market something, where you
Yep.
could have a item that just fails, and it's not because it's bad. I have a friend, John Westhoff. He has a book called Deep Power. It's about all these people having superpowers, and you have this C-level hero. So he was a shitty hero, and then the powers go away 10 years later, and some of these people now are celebrities at cons, and this guy can barely function in his life. To me, that sounds like an awesome book
Mhm.
because it's like the anti My Hero Academia. And he has a hard time, selling his book. And I think it's just a marketing problem. I don't think it's the quality of the book. So I think the
Right.
concept is really strong. I really do. And it's just that
There's
I
a
think
lot of stories out there that I bought that don't get the opportunity, or these artists. I beat this into a lot of my past interviews is that I got a lot of legends that do work now for me because they want to do different stuff. But I reached out to the people that had good art, but nobody was giving a chance because they just didn't have a name at the time. Well, now those guys are blown up in this comic book company now that I started, and I love them. They're devoted to me, and I take care of them. And that's the thing; you just got to take care of these people. And I got a whole staff of them that I found through just different connections. And just to be as most humbling as I can, which is probably going to sound stupid coming from my mouth, but the less than 2 years, well, I'm coming up on 2 years, I get reminded from Greg Bow that he's never seen this happen ever in the independent world. He goes, in 2 years, you've got 7 artists, you got a guy from Frank Frazetta Studios, you've got Mike DiCarlo, you've got 7 artists, you've got 7 titles, a movie in the works. What you did is unheard of. And I tell you right now, it was because I met him at the right point in the right time in the beginning of this company where he introduced me to people. He taught me how to interact with this company because just because I can collect comic books and I've been writing and putting them doesn't mean I know the world. He introduced me to the world. He introduced me how to handle the world, how to talk to them, and I'm still learning. I just got through talking to him before this interview. Tom said, my mind is a mess right now. I said, I can't get any new artists to respond back. I'm trying this. It's like, is there something out there that I don't know? He goes, there's nothing out there. It's just how the company is. It's just how artists can be. Just take a, and he brought me back down. I was like, okay. Because you get into your head like, okay, somebody's out there running their mouth again. What's going on now? But I gotta give him credit, man. He keeps me grounded, and so for everybody that kept saying why y'all not working together, it has nothing to do but the fact that I value my friendship with him more than anything else.
this is interesting because obviously, I mean, I haven't had a mentor in my business. I have legitly done this by trial by fire. I just have a little bit of common sense, and I've been buying and flipping comics for almost 10 years now. And the story is that it started in college when I needed beer money. It's the basic story where I had a book that I needed like $30 for comics and beer, and that's how you go. And it's amazing. It's amazing. And then you realize that you have a $120 book in your possession. Like, oh wow, I got money now for comics and beer for the next 2 months. Oh shit! Like it's kind of funny. But not the point. But where I'm going with all this is that but a lot of what I'm now figuring out is how to reach out for wholesale, how to be polite about things, how to communicate, and how to breach things, and how to not be offensive. And it's complicated because a lot of what people don't understand on a retail level with me is it's not your price point that's the problem, it's your volume. So when somebody says I have a retail package for 50 books, my store can't handle 50 books.
Right.
So
Well,
I could and I like to test markets first. So I like to do 10 books before I'm going to order 50. I want to see how those 10 move, because if it doesn't move, it's nothing against your product. It just is not the right product for my store. And when I approach people and I say, hey, look, I think your price point's fine. Would you be able to do 15 books? So it's like, yeah, man, I could do 15. And it's just a very interesting thing. But again, trial by fire is how I've done it, which is not what
yeah.
I encourage.
Well, I mean, I had no idea I was going to be here. So when I first started, like I told you, it was a trial. It was just a one-shot deal. I knew the stories in my head. As a matter of fact, the one they're wanting to do the movie of, The Adventures of J.P. Cummins, that was a filler. I had to figure out what to put in. Slash Craig Bell right now. I needed to figure out what to put in between these two issues, and I was like, "Well, I wrote this little movie script years ago. Maybe I'll make a mini series and throw it in there real quick." It ended up being the best selling book we ever had, and it really was good. I like it, but pat on my back. But Greg Bell has helped me with this, but let's not get it wrong. If it wasn't for me teaching him how to draw, he wouldn't be where he's at. Okay. So I taught him all that stuff just to let you know. He taught me but in the beginning, he learned how to draw. Yeah. See, that is an art sketch that I drew and gave to him and said, you need to emulate this and you'll be making a lot of money. And he finally got caught on to it. And you see how he's blown up now, all because I drew this for him. And I'm just kidding. You all know that. So, I can't draw shit, but I gotta have something on my. But no, it's pretty cool. Since we're doing that, I can't throw stuff up. I got. I guess I don't know. I'm a Halloween and horror fanatic, and Greg Bow's done a lot of the cool characters, and we just got these in the Freddy books for dolls, and this is one of my favorite ones. And then one of our artists that has got kicked off really fast is William. He's our main head artist that works and does all our stuff, and he does these amazing cover pinups. So he's doing these things right here. This is actually the first half of Dolls 4, which is when the Dolls 5 comes out. There'll be the other side that connects to make one pinup. So I have to brag on the people, because if it wasn't for them, I just have a little notepad of a bunch of stories that aren't getting anywhere.
And even to go into this, because this is one of the things that I have conversations with people about things, is the health of the industry. And so, I mean, I don't know if comics are healthy right now. I don't know if Kickstarter is healthy. And I don't really know also if it's company by company or, project by project, because we're in a weird time on Kickstarter right now. We're in a weird time with mainstream comics where some of them are doing really well from Marvel and DC, but some of them are doing horrendous. And then some titles from Image are doing well and some are not doing well. And same thing with Kickstarter. I mean, I know people who struggle to get to $6,000 on Kickstarter. And then I have a friend who passed, 10,000 within his first week. And so it's like with his book. And then I know projects, and I'll just say Travis Gibb, where he did Cthulhu Invades Neverland. And that book should not have been down to the last wire to fund. And so it's a weird thing where I don't really know what's going on unless it's legitimately person by person and project by project, where for whatever reason, just some things aren't hitting. And some people might have done something to the community and the community is not supportive. Or it could just be.
That's the touchy part, is that you get blackballed in this community and you're almost pretty much done. So you always got to be on your P's and Q's, which is hard for me because I am very openly vocal about certain things. But I'm also, as vocal as I am, I'm also loyal to the people that made me who I am. Tell me if you hate this. It kind of gets into a cheesecake play when you're watching wrestling and you got your badass wrestler you fan. He always goes out there and plays, "It's all because of you guys," and you're like, "Geez, you just dropped down a notch in popularity with me. Stop doing that." So I don't want to do that. But the reality is that I just try to take care of people the way I wish I could be taken care of from my consumers that I deal with. And, does it burn me sometimes? Probably. Yeah, it does. But for the most part, I'm never going to stop doing it.
Did you also feel though that, I mean, this is how I feel right now about the whole industry, is that I am not part of a tribe, and I purposely don't want to ever be part of a tribe, because I think when you're part of a tribe, it's great that people have your back, but also tribes tend to go to war with other tribes. And
they're on it right now. Oh my God. I can't go into it, but there's an inside one going on now between two separate things, and there's a line drawn, and I'm staying right over in Switzerland. I'm in Switzerland. I'm not getting in that shit.
Let me put it a different way. The greatest basketball player ever said Republicans buy sneakers too. And for those who don't know who said that, it's Michael Jordan. And what he was referring to is that the reason why he never got political was because he basically came out with this shoe and he's like, look, I want everybody to buy my shoe. And so there gets a point where I want everybody, I have an eBay store, and I don't care. I don't know any of my clients' politics. I just want them to buy my merchandise. And I want people to listen, and we don't talk about politics on this show. The only thing that everybody knows is that I'm a big supporter of the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, and I'm a big free speech advocate. But that's not really political, where I don't think books should be banned, and I think that it's insane. And I think all those lawsuits dealing with things are ludicrous, of books and speech being, spoken about. And I was a big issue when PETA got banned in the Washington, D.C. subway. And I didn't like the fact that Milo Yiannopoulos got banned in the Washington, D.C. subway either. And those are two opposite eras and sides politically, but they're the same issue.
My stance, I've said once before, and it's never going to change, and it's pretty much a simple one. And it has to do with everybody, no matter who you are, gender, race, sex, whatever. It's like, if you want equal rights and free speech, you've got to be willing to allow others to have the same right. Period. It's like, that's what you got to do. You got to be letting, all right, if you want to be able to say what you want to say without recourse, then you got to let me express how I feel in a very meaningful, polite manner, the same way. It's just how the world has to be. But as long as one person's saying, no, you shouldn't believe that, you got to believe what I believe, or no, that's wrong, there's always going to be two sides. It's like, okay, I respect how you believe. I decline it, but I respect it.
I agree about where there's obviously two tribes, but I'm even talking about tribes within those two sectors going at it, where there's company A and you're with company A, and then company B is that, and they're not even going at it political, but I feel like if you stay in and then there's a bunch of interviewers around company A and they don't ever go to company B, you're going to get stale. And I think that's starting happening in comics, is that I think people
that's been going on. I got to get that's why I just like, I can sit here and complain about something, but I can say, you know what, is me sitting here going bitching about something I'm reading going to change it? No. Am I going to be able to make a phone call and my one little voice going to say to that person, you're an idiot for doing that, and everybody else thinks you are? Are they going to say,
oh, I mean,
damn it, Jason called, I need to change my whole thoughts? No.
I go to every tribe. I go in and out of every tribe, and I reach out to people because I'm smart enough to know that if I'm interviewing somebody who is in company A, and then I go to company B, and then I go to company D and C and E, and then I jump over to company F over there, all of a sudden you never know who's going to come on my show. And it makes it for a more interesting show, and it winds up expanding my audience. And I think that's a real problem right now. And I think it definitely affects Kickstarters, where I think that if you're not reaching out across to other groups and you're staying within your neighborhood, might be a better way to put it, you're only going to get your locals. But don't you want somebody from 4 blocks over to come over? Like,
oh my God, that's so crazy. That just plays right into the whole thing with me trying to help the guy with the con. It's like, you want to help somebody and put more seats in there. And even though I know there's a guy there that I don't care to have anything to do with, I'd still show up to help somebody else. And guess what? Yeah, I hate to say it, I would be able to bring a few people in there, and help build this up, which allows him to have more people. So For him to say, no, I'm just going to take all the people I brought and I'm just not going to come if you're bringing him, I don't like him. Well, you just screwed yourself. I mean,
it's such a
that's
problem.
the dumbest thing.
I don't ever understand. Like, people come on my show and they don't introduce me. I mean, I got the Bushwhackers because I interviewed somebody who introduced me to the Bushwhackers.
Yeah.
But like, it's the weirdest thing where nobody ever fucking introduces me to anybody. I'm like, but how is that productive to anything? Like, if you're the writer, you have an artist, wouldn't you want to make an introduction? And like, I never understood that. And I make introductions all the time to people I'm happy to, and I don't expect anything back from anybody. I don't really care. I don't want to kick back from somebody if I introduce somebody for a cover. I don't need that, but I would appreciate a return of favor back. And like, I find it so weird because it's just, but it is what it is, and I'm doing just fine.
Yeah. Well, here, this sums it up right here. My motto: no one gives a shit. It's what I wear this every time I go out, and somebody says, "Hey, I want to tell you something." I was like, "Oh, look, nobody gives a shit. I don't care."
Like, I like just said, "I do what?" LOL. That's kind of funny. I'm gonna shoot her a message. I'm gonna have to hopefully she rewatched the first part of this because we were talking bad about her. I want to make that crystal clear. You just need to turn up the volume to an 11.
Man, I have no idea what this is going to turn out to be. I mean, like I said, I've said things before, and I do it. But the thing is that whatever you say and whatever you feel and however you mean it, is the moment you apologize, you're done. Never go back. If you say something that you truly feel or you have an issue with, and people don't like it, and you're afraid, oh, they're going to cancel me. As soon as you apologize, you cancel. I'll be like, yeah, I don't give a shit. You know what? The worst person in the world to pick a fight with or hurt is somebody who has come from nothing, had no home, has no family, and then made something of themselves. Well, guess what? They're not afraid to go back to that because they've been there. They know how to get out of it. Those are the worst people to piss off. It's like, hey,
I don't know.
I already know if I lose it, I'll bounce back. But the thing is that I try to let my reputation and my goodwill nature of helping people and helping my customers, writing good books, and staying neutral. Like, I'll listen to Tribe A, I'll listen to Tribe B. I won't advise Tribe A, and I sure as hell won't advise Tribe B. I'll say, okay, I heard you. I'm here to listen.
Oh, I mean, you didn't say anything controversial. We didn't say anything controversial.
Really? Because I like controversy, man. That's what gets ratings.
So we didn't say anything controversial, but if you would like, I could find Stan. I just kicked Stan. That's one of the best HBK moments ever. He's just going on a tirade. Oh, it's great.
Those are so good. I love those things, especially back in the old days of him and H going together and doing those stupid little things. They are hilarious.
My favorite thing is that it was, I think, like 2007, and they're just backstage, and he kicks Stan, and Stan's all over it. Then he keeps going down the line, like all the way down the hallway. Triple H. I love getting him riled up.
Mm-hmm. Oh man! See, I can't believe you didn't check on that wrestling thing, man. I love me some wrestling. Greg's son, he's a wrestler, so that's how he's involved in it, and I think he even did some wrestling and managed it. I have to hear wrestling quotes from him every day about something that's pissed him off. So,
it's great. It's Jim Cornette. I love Jim Cornette.
Yeah, you go. That's you see, Greg, but it's a Jim Cornette every day. The drizzling shits.
I enjoyed Jim Cornette running TNA as the face, and he used to have the meetings at the start of the show, and everybody would come out. And he would have the meetings. I used to love that. I love the six-sided ring. I think it's so smart. And I think it's so much more interesting. There's just so much more you can do with it. Oh, I love it. And then they went back to like the square. I love the hexagon ring. I thought it was great.
It was a good idea. You could do more. You had more mobility going back and forth instead of just left, right, because it's kind of awkward when you see somebody hit the ropes and instead of going straight, they curve around to the side on a square rope. I'm like, that's some bad moves on that.
I thought it was cool with the X division too. I thought, but
oh yes, when they start doing the high flyers. Yes,
it's brilliant. The X division was brilliant. It was brilliant. And then I love Team 3D in the X division. They were like the anti-X division. Oh, it was great. The whole thing. And then they won Ultimate X with the ladder. That was just such a fuck you to the X division. It was great.
It stinks too, because it's like, when they finally make it up to the tops, what got them there, they back off due to wanting not less injuries and stuff. I mean, when like Ricochet exploded, brought something new, the flipping and all that, I was like, whoa. And then now it's kind of like, if it wasn't for Logan Paul doing some of it, it would just keep dying down, because it's like, I think there's a point where, whether it's insurance reasons or just fear of getting hurt and being put out and losing your storyline, that they back off on what really made it interesting in the first place.
I agree. But I mean, it's fascinating. But yeah, so I mean, just we didn't say anything controversial in this whole thing. I think if December.
Well, I feel like it's a disappointment then if I didn't get anything controversial.
No. It's not a disappointment. I'm not disappointed in which I am not all that controversial. I have controversial opinions about Kickstarter, where my biggest problem with Kickstarter is that they don't have consumer protection, where they won't protect their consumer. And and I don't know how legal that is actually, because they are processing an 8% payment. So, I mean, I don't know how much responsibility Kickstarter actually has, because I don't think they are not responsible. I think they're a portion responsible if somebody doesn't deliver. And
it becomes an issue too, because they're worldwide. Your Canada laws and America laws. I just had an incident where one of my characters was, I have copyright, was actually swiped and completely stolen from me and used, and they're from Canada. The only thing that I legally could do was have them not ship anything to the United States. And I didn't want to do that. Guess why? Because I said, okay, well, screw you. You can't ship these. What would that do? That would just piss off a majority of the backers who also probably back me and say, well, because of you, I can't get what I wanted. And that's not what I'm in the business to do, is screwing over customers just to try to make a buck. And that's not what I'm here to do. So I said, you know what? This is a big enough world. If you feel like you got to take something from me and make it your own, that's fine. I'm still going to do what I got to do and make mine too. There's plenty of room for both of us, but I'm not going to do anything to you or about you for it, because it would screw the people that really wanted to buy the book in the first place. So, and that's another issue. Different countries, different laws, different things.
I'm even just speaking about US, where, if you don't deliver your book, I don't have any recourse for a creator. And I think with Kickstarter, there needs to
Kickstarter's making their money regardless. That's the thing. They're going to get their percentage.
But that's the issue, is that who is Kickstarter's real customer? Is it me, or is it the creator? And that's a real question. And I'm in the camp that the creator is the customer for Kickstarter. I am a user.
I don't want to get bounced off of them, because I love them and I do need them for certain things. But I do have to say, you
plead the fifth.
Well, I can't. I've never been able to plead the fifth, but I do have a point where you're about right, because certain rules apply to, say, a Class B publisher, where you got your Class A's bringing 6 figures in. You say, well, how come they're getting away with doing this, but you just told me I couldn't do it? And you kind of start seeing those lines drawn when you're a publisher, like, wait a minute, I tried to do this and you told me not to, but right over here, 6 figures is doing it.
I'm wondering, and I'll be the first person, I would love to have somebody from Kickstarter in their commenters, and I would love to have a serious conversation about it. It wouldn't even be mean. It would be a very serious. So Joe Rogan had Tim Pool and Jack Dorsey and somebody else from Twitter on, and Tim Pool was asking real intellectual questions in a very respectful way to the head of Twitter and Jack Dorsey, and they didn't have answers, but it raised questions saying, what is your policy? What is this? Why did you do this, this, and this? And it raised questions. Now, some of it, I think, was unfair questions or was a little, not really the point. But I think that's what needs to happen with some of this. Because if I'm a small publisher and big publisher A does it, I mean, that's called persecution by definition. And last time I checked, and I'm pretty sure that somewhere along the lines, Kickstarter's taking government money, which means that they can't do that. And I'm sure that all I need is a little bit of a hook in, and then it's inseparable, and there you go. And it's going to be a real problem for Kickstarter, and I don't think they're ready for it. And honestly, I mean, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about me not getting my book after 3 years. I think Kickstarter needs to figure out a solution for that problem. And they say, we're not responsible, but you're legitly processing the payment.
Once they get the payment, if it's not delivered within a certain amount of time, I just personally think Kickstarter should take whatever percentage they got and divvy it up evenly throughout the people that didn't get their book, and then allow those people, and then go after the people that didn't deliver the book for the rest of the money, and say, look, if you don't deliver it, we got to give our percentage we took back to these people, and then we're coming after you to make that difference up because you didn't deliver. And that would be the fair thing to do.
It would only take 1 or 2 people for Kickstarter to do that in a legal way, and everybody would fall in line. It would only
I've tried my best. I've contacted them, and let's be real. I said I need them, and I like them, and I appreciate them, but you're not going to get a hold of nobody to complain. It's almost near impossible to send an email to somebody. You've got to go through all these steps. Well, what's your complaint? Well, did this help you? Did this answer? No, I want to speak to somebody. I want to know where my money's at and where my book's at.
Again, what it's going to require is that's going to require somebody who's big enough to get their attention, and then it will get solved. And somebody big enough will get pissed off, and it will eventually get solved. Because
it's also going to be a problem now that with new AI, because they released a whole statement about how they won't be allowing people with AI stuff on Kickstarter unless it falls into a certain category line. Well, I've already seen AI on 6-figure things, and it looks like they're letting them slide through there. And I hate
it's even
AI.
Crazier. Kickstarter does that with images, but what about AI scripts? How do you figure that one out? I mean, this is my whole issue with AI, and the thought just came across my mind. I just learned that AIs. So if you do an AI cover, it's not copyrightable. So I could take your AI cover and legitly push it out, and you will have no recourse against me. Now, I can't use, if you put your book, J.P. Cunningham, or you put pumpkins on it, and it's your book by Fate68, I can't take that, but I could take the cover because it's not a copyrightable position. But
I hate AI. That's why we're striking, is because of that AI, to be honest with you. Fucking shit.
Oh, you mean the writer's strike?
The writers and actors strike, yeah. AI has a lot to do with it.
I thought it was also even more just that people are just now getting really fed up, creators, like with Squid Game, for instance, where it's like
it started with that way. It started with the writers and stuff wanting more
about this. So that's why I could be wrong completely. So
it's the writers' strike started because, the typical thing where it's like, you're just giving us a portion of this money, then making all this money. We don't have any rights to our story, which, is fair. And then I think the threat of AI to write scripts came out of some of the execs. And they go, okay, good luck getting the actors now to act in it. So now the actor's like, all right, well, fine. We're going to stick with the writers. You threaten that, we're not doing this. And so it's just one, that's a portion of it. I mean, there's a lot more in it, but yeah, those are some of the threats that get thrown out there, which causes people to say, well, screw it, then we'll all not do it. This AI is,
I don't know anything about this. About this. I'm an anime weeboo, so it doesn't affect me on that front. I'm really watching.
We should all just go to anime, right?
It'd be easier. Again, I don't know anything about this, so whatever you're saying is, a lot more than I do. And
well, that's just a portion of it, but that the AI every time is something. AI, those 2 letters keep popping up, and it's just like, oh my god, it's going to be the downfall of all creativity. I mean, it really is. I mean, it takes out thoughts, creativity, art, talent, learning, using your brain. I mean, it's just not. I know people think it's cool, but if you think it's cool and stuff, that's because you can't do it on your own. I mean, you got to find what you're.
To be honest, I'm an investor in things like NVIDIA and Microsoft, and so I like it, but I'm also the odd one out. But I'm also viewing it very differently than other people.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have parameters for what it's used for. It's no different than when they legalize weed. Doesn't mean you can go buck wild on it. It means there's parameters. You don't have to like weed, but if there's parameters, there's things. It's like I don't have to like AI, but there's parameters that are stuck to. Then yeah, everybody can coexist.
It's interesting you bring up the weed thing. My mom was in Brooklyn maybe 2 weeks ago, and everybody's vaping and they're vaping weed, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not
I hate the smell of weed.
My point is that good for society? I mean, I work a 40-hour work week. I'm lucky that I get to work from home, and then I'm in like 2 days in my office. I can't crack open a beer and sip a beer out in public. Like, do you really want that? Where I don't want my coworkers going on their lunch break and vaping, some weed. I don't think that's good.
That's a corporate business venture. That's like, weeds may be legal, but if say you're a cop, you can't go home and smoke a marijuana just because it's legal, because the department says if you're going to work here, you cannot do X, Y, Z. It just becomes a level to level area. It's like the people that are doing it at their work. That means all it takes is one person to say, hey, to the head guy, this is crap. Work's not getting done. I can't focus. This stuff is affecting me. Or I'm allergic to it. I break out. So if I'm near it, I start swelling up. So I'm like, hey, I'm allergic to it. This is prohibiting me from working. Laws are in place. Can't do it. So it's just, I don't have a problem with it. I just don't want to go and sit at a restaurant where it's legal and just constantly have that smell when I'm trying to eat. I just don't want that. It's like cigarettes. I don't want to smell cigarettes.
I'm not a marijuana weed guy. It doesn't do it for me. I enjoy having a beer. I find that when I'm in a bar, a beer is social for me. Some people, I guess weed is social. It's not for me. It's not my jam, but I'm not against it. I don't really care what people do. I just don't do it. And
it's everything's got its turn. You remember smoking was the cool thing back in the 20s up to the 70s and 80s.
I wasn't old enough.
Everywhere.
I'm 30. Yeah, I'm 30. I'm not old. I'm not that old.
Smoking was, you watch movies, you see it. They smoked on planes. Well, eventually that stuff, it works its way out of society. Everything comes around more over and over. So now it's marijuana. Hey. And the way I see it, when I was a cop, if a bunch of rowdy people were out smoking marijuana and they were staying at their place, I didn't give a crap. I'm like, hey, please smoke away. It'll calm you down, and I ain't got to worry about you. That was the one thing I did not care about. I'm like, look, you're not hurting anybody. You're in your yard, and if they want to hide it, I'm like, don't throw it away. Keep it, because I know that you're going to be relaxed tonight. And I ain't got to deal with you. Enjoy. And I'd walk away. And I became the coolest cop in the area. So I was like, it's a waste of my time to mess with somebody for stupid shit like that. But you just got to be respectful to the people you're around. It's like, if somebody doesn't want to smell smoke, then don't smoke it around them.
Makes sense. I mean, the AI thing is that I am very, very, very big on it, in which that I'm excited to see what it can do. I like application uses of it. I think it's so interesting, and I've seen a bunch of it already, and I've seen it in every sector, and I'm just like, this is kind of interesting, and it's kind of cool, and it's kind of smart, but it also needs a base, and the question becomes is that when is it AI, which is artificial intelligence, and then when does that become real intelligence? And there's all these questions I have, and again, I'm just curious what the application is, and I'm excited to see what it does. But I'm an emerging technology guy, so
who knows? I'm not a tech guy. All I know is my kid done fucked me up last week, and we're going to die here shortly anyway, because he's 9 years old, and he killed every one of us. I'm serious. He's fucked us off, and I told him, and he thinks that I'm kidding. And I told him, I said, you really screwed us now. Your daddy's going to die, and you're about to die, and we're all going to be blown up. Because we sat in the car, and he was talking about computers and stuff, and he says, I'm going to invent a AI big computer that's going to run our town and make sure that it takes over and does everything for us so we don't have to work. And went, please tell me you did not just say that. Now I've got to look for a fucking terminating robot from the future to come snuff me and you out because you are probably going to invent some stupid crap that's going to. I was like, why did he goes, what do you mean? I was like, we're watching Terminator when we get home, kid. You done killed us. Don't say that.
This is really funny. I had a camper maybe 12 years ago, 11, 12 years ago. And the kid could explain to me how to build an EMP. And I'm like, what the fuck? And meanwhile, I was like in science camp. So I was in like Lego robotics. So those are the kids who are going to build EMPs anyway. But I'm like, bro, you're freaking 12. Like you're 12. I'm 19. And you're telling me how to build an EMP.
I couldn't get my earbuds to work there earlier. I was like, crap, stupid updates. And then my kid's in here talking about creating AI to run the town. I'm like, you done put it in that atmosphere now. We're done.
All I know is that this kid is probably working in the Pentagon and he's probably saving and keeping us all safe. And I'm like, I'm glad I could be part of his camp education experience.
Right.
Building Lego robotics.
Well,
and
mine's making comments that's going to get us all killed by some futuristic terminating machine or something. So,
but I digress. But I do want to talk about the cards because I do have 2 packs, and I have I think like 13 more to sell. But I figured we would open these live while you talk.
I didn't pack those. Those came from those went to a warehouse, and they would just stick them in some kind of shuffling thing and pack them randomly. And some people were getting a lot of good ones, not. And then when they got through, I had them send the leftovers to me so I could kind of just like use them as fillers for other people who needed certain ones. But I would give a pack or 2 away to somebody at a con and like, but you got to open it. And I'm like, I know you got to open it. I want to see what's in it. I want to see if you got anything cool. And they would never open it. And I'm like,
I'm trying to open this as gently as possible because I want to save the wrapper. And I think I did a pretty good job. You could be the judge. I think I did a pretty good job.
Yeah. You should have took a hairdryer to it.
Did it take a what to it?
A hairdryer. If you take a hairdryer to the emblem on it, it'll peel off.
Well, I don't want to take a hairdryer while I'm on air. And so obviously pretty good. You know, I think I did a pretty good job with it. So this is one of them in there. So
yes, that's cereal, isn't it?
It's the Halloween Bombshell Breakfast Monster.
Yes,
the Bride of Frankenstein and Pooh Berry. So that's cool right there, everybody. And I have 13 of these packs live still up there. This is
that was one of my favorite. Yeah, that's one of his previous ones. You will not find Greg Bell doing any male characters anymore. He just doesn't like drawing them for some reason. But I always thought he did great with it. That's some of his real early work.
And then this was on
another one. Yeah, that's on the 18 plus pack, the Loki, female Loki.
So yeah, that's cool. That's cool right there. And then obviously this is the Joker.
Yes. See, he does great work with some of his old styles. Like he just doesn't want to do it no more.
I like this one a lot. So touchdown.
Oh yes. Yeah. That's when he would just draw regular people and do certain stuff. Some of them are actually I got a whole file of all of Greg Bell's work from when he was in college art school all the way through to date, and that's how we did this trading card set. As a matter of fact, while you pop that, I got to show you. There she is, Trish Stratus. And if you get the one with the Loki pack, you might get the topless Trish Stratus.
So I have the one where it's like Harley Quinn, and this one's cool. This one's a cool one.
Yeah, that's was it Cherry Blossom?
Yeah, Harley Cherry Blossom, very pinup color.
That's actually in one of his pinup books.
And then I need to go find.
That's actually a cover. Let me show you that one. Hang on.
I know. I need to buy that cover. I need to buy that set because I think I have the nude version of that one too.
Of the You talking about the? Oh,
Kawaii.
I'm talking about the other one. That's this. Ugh. These just came in yesterday. Dollar Store. It was a May the 4th be with you special. See?
That's cool.
Yep. And then this one is actually from his days when he was in college before he became big. It's a cover. That was a sketch he did when he was in college. And that was one of the images for one of our other ones. Oh, you're going to do them both?
And I have one more. I have one more to open, which I'm opening very gently. And then I have 13 of them are up on my eBay store, everybody. So if you want one, you can go buy one from me. Or not. You could go buy them from wherever you want. I mean, that's totally fine.
No, you might get better luck selling them. I mean, I have a few that I put up on the website, but as far as the packs go, we sent all the packs out, and I kept a few, and I gave Gregbo a few, but I don't even have a full set. Everybody goes, "You don't keep any of your stuff?" And I was like, "I don't run a museum. I make it to sell."
I'm trying to open this one as nicely as humanly possible. Also, going nice and easy because I want to preserve as much of the wax because they're pretty freaking cool. Yeah, I don't have a full set either, so I'm not interested in a full set. I do really well with cards. I do really well with baseball cards. I do well with the Zenoscope cards that came out. And that's the reason why I'm interested in this stuff is because right now my card division in my eBay store is what's saving me when comics don't sell.
Well, one of the things that anybody needs to know who's paying attention on that is that he's never out to anybody. And when I approached him with the card scenario, he literally opened his vault up and pulled all his old and every bit of it to me to put up. And I just haven't put out his card to do the rest of them. But yeah, his file and vault of work he's had since college is phenomenal, and we're just trying to get it out there for everybody to see.
So this is the other stuff that I pulled. So this one right here, which is early Christmas elf pinup.
Yeah.
Those who want that one, there's this one, which I think has a chase. I have the chase variant of that.
That's I call him Captain Marvel. I don't care if he's Shazam or not. He's always going to be Captain Marvel. But that's and a lot of those are before even Gwen stepped in. He because anybody that knows Gregbo and his art now knows that he doesn't do anything without Miss Gwen Delegat. And she's one of the amazing colorists, and you can tell the difference when the colors. I know Gregbo used to color his own stuff. Yes. See, I like some of those. Did you ever see the Hot for Teacher one that he had?
I don't
There's
know
one.
if I've seen it.
It's just an inked one, and I think it came in this pack of inked only sketches. There was only 100 of those printed. That's a good one. She's like a school teacher. Yes, Frost.
There.
Mm-hmm.
This is cool right here.
Is that it? What is that one?
Early pencil.
Is that the cowboy?
Outlaw girl pinup.
Yes, that's one of them. Now, yeah, it's like that, but it's a school teacher sitting on a school desk.
Oh, that's cool. And then this one is cool. Fighter Sydney Moon.
That's that one. I think Gwen colored.
Yeah, I think Gwen colored that. And then there's this one right here, which is cool.
Yeah, Squirrel Girl. I think that one's his coloring though.
Yeah, it says Pencils, Ink, and Colors by Gregbo Watson. I think Gwen definitely, she might have colored this one, but I don't see her name on it unless I can't read for shit, which is probably what I can't do. So obviously this is what the backs look like if you're interested. The reason why I'm showing this is that I have a bunch of them up in my store right now, sealed. So I don't know what you will get, and it will arrive sealed.
I do know that there's a lot of them chases that were still not picked up. I got emails upon emails about, from people from those cars. They're trading on the Kickstarter Gregbo message board. They're all on that message board trading cards with each other, trying to get a full set. And I'm trying to help them as much as possible. If they back something, I might fill a couple of their spots if I had the cards floating around. But yeah, they're all over that all day trying to fill in the. Some guys have got like 2 or 3 of the same like chase foil cards are willing to trade those for a few rec common ones just to get a full set. So
yeah, no. I think the only card, if I don't have it, and I might have it, is the I'm only looking for one actually. So I'm looking for this if I don't have it, and I need to check in the nude version. That's the only card I'm looking for.
I don't know if that one did it have a new version of that one.
It does. It does, I believe, because
I know. I just don't know if we put it on there. It might have. What one did I send you with the packs? I sent you a signature one too, didn't I?
Yeah. It was like the Ghostbusters.
Yeah, because he only signed like 3 or 4 ones that didn't make it into the card packs that were just meant for con appearances, and that's actually one of them. There's only 5 of them signed.
Oh, that's cool. I appreciate that. That's cool.
Yeah. So, and if you get a card that's signed, there's only a minimum of 5 of them that are signed that exist. So, and the other thing is,
I'm probably gonna book Greg Bow for a cover when I do my book. Not this year. Not maybe mid-June or July.
Yeah.
And then if I'm at a con, I'm gonna bring a bunch of cards and hopefully he'll sign them.
Yeah, I'll tell you this: if you want him to do a cover for you sometime soon, you might want to go ahead and get on the books. He's so far behind.
I might want to do what?
Get on his books now as for the thing to get him registered because
yeah. Honestly, I mean, I'm not really. My whole thing right now is that I don't know when I'm launching. So until I know, which will be in 2024 at some point, or it might even be in 2025, just because of the way my business is that I'm right now conquering wholesale in my business. So I'm smart enough not to add more pressure onto me in business when you're already tackling something like wholesale and stabilizing a business. Because I just went through a pretty expansive position. I just went through a $25,000-$30,000 expansion in 6 months. So I'm a little tired and stabilizing the business before I take on another responsibility. So
I got a cool book that
if I don't get to do a comic till 2025, it's not a loss at all for me. I would rather have it peaceful than be not sleeping at night.
Yeah, I got my I got these 2 books graded that we put out. One of them's at the Heritage Auction coming up in September. The other one I'll never sell because it's mine. And I got them both graded. One's at 9.8, and I think the other one that Heritage Auction has is a 9.6 grade. But when we first did the first issue of the Adventures of J.P. Cummings, the direct edition, I always have the direct edition do a physical proof sent back to me. And there was no special edition covers made, no holograms or any of that. I just wanted a regular cover of the direct edition. And I said, please just send me the physical proof to go over. Well, when they sent me the physical proof of the covers, they sent 2 of them. And the 2 they sent them on holographic foil paper. And they weren't supposed to be. So there's 2 air holographic paper versions of the first J.P. Cummings book that is about to be the movie in existence. And that's it, because we didn't print those. They were an accident. They said, we accidentally printed them on this. Sorry, we'll send the right ones to you. So I got 2 of them, and I got them both graded. And that's the only 2 in the entire world that exist of that book. And it was an accidental print. One I'm keeping, and the other one I gave the Heritage Auction to see what they can do with it. So those are my black cover Venoms, you could say.
Yeah, no, I have some expensive books that I get it, but it makes sense. But what's the deal? I mean, obviously I showed off the cards, but obviously, I mean, that's a whole undertaking doing a card set, and I'm a big card
Oh my God, yeah, that's another reason. I was like, here's the truth of the matter for anybody that thinks, about the cards and the cost. I was like, I'll be up front. In the end, by the time I got all the cards out, got everything printed, got the packing, mailed them, had to send some extras out, some of the stuff, my total revenue from it was negative $374. I was minus $374 doing that card set. It was the hardest thing to do in the entire world, was trying to get those card sets done right. And I had to do it because I made a promise. And even if it cost me income, I made it right with, I made it right with everybody, that even if it cost me money, I got to make it right, because all it takes is one time to screw somebody over with something, and that's it. And that's not what I'm here to do. It does takes one time.
Yeah, no. I get it. In which that, I mean, I look at Zenescope. They did a card set. They did 100,000 on their project, and then they're doing the serial cards. And the only reason why I'm interested in this stuff is because I know that I could sell every single serial card. There's 500 of the first, 20 in the set. So there's only 10,000 packs. And I know that people are trying to fill their packs, and I can sell those cards for good money. And I bought a bunch of them at 50% off. And I'm waiting for them to do, and then there's just money involved. And especially with the nude stuff, there's just money involved. And so naturally, that's the thing, is that it's an easy sale because I can put it in the mail. It's going to cost me a stamp to mail it, and it arrives in a top loader perfectly, and the margins on those are great. And so
if they do good with these Greg bows, which, I don't see why not, because there's people out there constantly trying to fill them. I like I said, I got fillers that are floating in a box back here that, I'm really not got, and a bunch of little extra packs that I was going to save to sell at cons enough. If they do well, let me know, man. We'll work something out, get some more to you. And if there's individual ones that you really want to get to that are really there, I can dig through. I got a box of some of the leftovers of the not safe for work ones still too.
I don't know even what I need. And again, it's in its infancy. And it's one of those things where it's just right now, it's weird because what will hit at one day won't hit at the next. But I'm smart enough to know that the people who want the Zenescope stuff want this. And then Marvel just did an anime set that's really hot. And so all this stuff is cousins to each other. And all this stuff is now starting to hit to people's space.
Well, Greg will work for Zenescope.
He did, and he did a bunch of great covers. I was trying to get Paul Gomez a cover. He's like, oh, Greg Bo does not safe for work stuff. I said, no. You don't know Greg Bo's work for Zenescope. You don't know his work. And like people think that Greg Bo does a cover like this, right? This is, yes, Greg Bo does this stuff, but Greg Bo can do a lot of other stuff too. And you name it, Greg Bo can stick it, is the point.
It's in it. That's another reason for them to buy the cards from you, because they'll get the stuff and the art that he's done, that he's known for in the past and as well. So they'll see he's all the way around. I mean, to get him to do this was almost a fight. Now, typical pinup of Greg Bo, female, but I wanted Michael Myers standing in the background. He wouldn't do it. We fought. I was like, that's what he compromised. He drew Michael in the knife, his face. That's as much as I'll get out of him. But that's the kind of work he used to do all the time that you don't see no more. But you'll find it in those cards because I was able to pull it out and make the pictures and images on those, and then pack them up and sell them some of his older work.
I mean,
he won't do no more. He won't do interiors no more. He will not do interiors. If you happen to catch his last Zenescope book where he did an interior set, that's the last one he ever did. You'll never find it anymore. He won't do it. People have thrown money. I've thrown money at. He won't do it. He doesn't want to do it, and he never will. So if you can find his old stuff or some of his stuff he did interiors, it's gold. Hold on to it.
I'm going to try to convince him to do something a little bit outside of his comfort zone, but still in his vein. But my project, he's going to have a lot of free will on. But not the point. But again, my whole thing is that I think cars are really hot. I do not foresee them stopping. I mean, the fact that Zenoscope is killing it, the fact that baseball cards are really hot right now. I mean, football starting, which means football cards are going to get hot again. I mean, all this stuff with Leaf Metal and Anime Nation. I mean, I make a lot of money in this space, and I don't see with these and those packs and other things why I wouldn't make money with it either. And Greg Bo Watson is Greg Bo Watson. And so this is why I think this is interesting, is that I just think that this is a sleeper where I think in 3 or 4 months, it's like, there's Greg Bo Watson cards. And that's what I think, is that I think it's a sleeper, and I think that people are going to be like, I want stuff now. And
yeah, he's got fans that are so devoted to him. They dress up as his characters to cons when we sit next to each other all the time, and they still don't even know he has a card set. They go, oh, when'd you do that? I'm like, you're a devoted fan, but they don't know yet. So, yeah, the word's not completely out there yet, but when they do find out, I think they will start blowing up on the secondhand market real fast, because you said they only put, 10,000 of that other kind of cards. So we maybe have 1,200 packs in existence.
Zenoscope on their first round did a bunch of stuff, and then a bunch of stuff. They did 100,000 on that, and then the cereal packs, there's only 10,000 of them. And
there's only 1,200 barely of that Greg Bo Watson packs out in the world. So that's even more rare.
It's limited. I mean, the last big top set was the top Cosmic Chrome set. There, I think, it's only 2,000 hobby boxes out, which is 20 packs per hobby box. Maybe there's 2,150. That's not a lot. 2,150 of a hobby box times 20 packs, not a lot. And there's even less of that. I mean, it's crazy, and so it's just wild. And I think,
if I got any floating around, let me know if they do good. But I'm telling you, if you want to we didn't get more than 1,200 packs made because we just wanted to have a few extra and fill the orders, and then after that was it. So, and I got some floaters that are in a box back here that they gave me that were leftovers. They didn't have enough to make packs out of. And I just use those as for fans who say, hey, I'm looking for cards so-and-so. All right, well, I got it here. You can have that. So 1,200, bro. Lowest end run.
It's not a lot.
No, it ain't.
Again, I was thinking about doing a card set for cocktails, because my mom wrote a cocktail book. But then I was looking at it, I'm like, this is going to be brutal. This is just going to be brutal. It's not going to be fun. And, I would rather produce a cover than anything else in a comic. So I think it'll be easier.
Yeah. I might do another. We still haven't talked. We've talked, but we probably haven't thought about doing another Greg Bo trading card set. But I do know what I have planned for is, now that and stuff, all that going on, is doing a Fate68 trading card set of just the covers and pin that we have, because a lot of people who like the pinups that we got that not necessarily from Greg Bo, they want to see some of that, like in 11x17s or cards. So they speak, I listen, I do. If I can do it, I'll do it. But that's still a little bit ways out, man. I'm still recovering from the last card run.
I understand. I've taken haircuts on cards, and I haven't taken massive haircuts, but I understand, and I completely am sympathetic. And I've had some bad outings. I've had some good ones, but I've had some bad outings. So I get it completely. And when I lose $1, I cry. So
well, I do have things like coming up. I know a lot of people don't really recognize the name, but Sean Joyce, he's in his he worked with Frank Frazetta, literally, and he drew the matting for the movies back when they did art matting for all the Star Trek movies. Willow, he has tons and tons of. He draws just and paints like Frank Frazetta. He's doing our covers now. He wants to do a Fate68 pinup book in the Frazetta style. to have it published with us now. And he would be great to get some of his stuff to do cards with too. But he's to sit and listen to this guy's stories about, I did this with this movie, or I remember working with Frank, or this, he drew the Phantom. He was one of the first Phantom artists. And I'm like, God, I was like, are you sure you want to work for me? I still don't get it. He goes, man, I just love your stuff and I love how it is. He goes, I would like to come and do some new stuff, and I'd like to do it with y'all if you let me. And I went, sure. I was like, okay. I'm not a dummy. Yeah, absolutely. So his first cover is coming out for Pumpkin issue 2 when the Kickstarter launches. So it'll be up there. And then he's doing another one for a new series that we're launching after that called Living Dead Girl, which is a really cool little story too. Yes, based off of the Rob Zombie song.
I know Rob Zombie. I enjoy Rob Zombie. I enjoy Rob Zombie.
I didn't steal it, but I just took the name because it pretty much is her whole character is based that anyway. But anyway, man, I think I better get going. I didn't even realize it's 9 o'clock.
Well,
I think people fell asleep on us.
I do want to give you a chance to promote yourself. So where could people find you, find what you do? I know you have to get to talk about, but obviously covered a lot.
Well, I'll tell you this. If you find me, at the time, my agent had set up a personal Instagram site at Mr. Jason Conley, and I hardly, which means you'll see, don't think I'm not popular, which I'm not because I only have 81 followers. I just don't promote it. So if you're going to follow me anywhere, just click follow that so I don't look pathetic and add more followers. The Fate68 one, it was doing well. It's on Instagram. It's at Fate68 Comics with an X. We do have a TikTok under the same name. We have what is it, X now? Twitter, X, whatever. We have an account with them. And we also have a Facebook one under the same name. We do a lot of posts and updates on everything. So you can find out all the news. And our website, the 3 W's, Fate68, comicswithanx.com, where you can buy back issues, some of the pinups, Gregbo stuff. You can check out the new stuff coming out for Pumpkin 2, which is up there right now, which I did for some of the fans. $15 for the next 2 weeks. You can get some of the super cool covers that we got coming out. And check out one of our new artists. His name's Javi Lapar. He draws just like Alex Ross. And you will see his covers up there. He's great. He's been killing it. He also did the movie poster for The Adventures of JP Cummings, which is on our Instagram right now. You can see at Fate68 Comics. Just follow me on the Jason one, though. 81's pathetic, guys. But I just don't promote that stuff. Oh, so sad.
And then just as far as I'm concerned about me, and I've been saying it a while, you have to support people in comics. And what that means is that first and foremost, when people have Kickstarters, you should back their campaigns. That's probably the easiest and most direct way. And then the second most direct way, if they're not doing that or they're in between campaigns, is to buy things off of their web stores or off of their eBay stores or their Shopify stores, or wherever it is powered by. That's another way how to support people, and that also helps. And then also, even going beyond spending money, following people on Twitter, following people on Instagram, following people on Facebook, that goes a long way too, and it does count. And sharing out their content, because again, somebody might not know something exists, and then you see it, and there you go. So that's something to keep in mind as well.
Yes.
So that's something that is extremely, extremely important to do. And then as far as I'm concerned, I'll Pop Anime Comics on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, also known as X, apparently. I haven't changed the logo yet. I think I'm going to protest the change of the logo. But I am Pop Anime Comics on most social media. I'm Pop Anime Comics on YouTube, on TikTok. You can come bother me. I release a lot of content every week on YouTube, anywhere from 23 to 30 videos a week. So there's something for everybody on my YouTube channel. If you're looking for rare books, cool books, interesting books, my eBay store is in the description down below, as well as if you're looking for these packs and you want to open up a sealed pack. I don't know what's in that pack, but you might find something cool. I opened up 2 of them, and as you saw, everybody, there's some cool stuff in those packs. So you never know what you're going to pull, and that's a good way how to get it. And I'm willing for deals if anybody wants to make me offers. I'm a reasonable human being, so that's everything that I got. And if you want to buy a bunch of stuff, be my guest. And in the next probably 6 weeks, there's some serious cool merch coming. And let's just say we're going to get a little Resident Evil, if you will, in the next few weeks. So that's all I got.
And let's toss it out to our Bray Wyatt and Terry Funk, man. Thanks for what they did for us.
I mean, oh my God, just I'm still devastated about Bray Wyatt, more so than Terry Funk. Terry Funk,
he lived his life, but Bray Wyatt was a drop, man. But let's give it out to the family and for those that he did a lot for us, and that's my piece out for it.
That's how I feel. That I'm still in shock. I'm still in shock. But Heaven has a new tag team.
That's right. Andrew, man, it was great talking to you, buddy. So hey, call me anytime, and if you need anything, man, let me know. I'll see what I can do to help you out with it.
And I believe that is a wrap, everybody.